In this lesson, you're going to learn how to install SSIS, which is a very simple process you'll find. A few things to note about SSIS though as far as the different editions. SSIS is available for Standard Edition and Enterprise Edition for the various components. You can also get the Runtime Edition and lower editions of SQL Server as well. In Standard Edition though, you're missing a few of the key components that may be important to you, like the data mining components, fuzzy lookup, fuzzy group, the dimension and partition processing, which are needed for analysis services in some cases, and term extraction and lookup. After you do the installation, there's only a few things you'll have to do. If you have a named instance or a clustered virtual instance, you'll also need to modify the msdts srvr.ini.xml file. This file tells integration services where to go to locate your instance of SQL Server at, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Once you install the base components of SQL Server, you're ready to go. The Installation Center will open up at that moment, and you'll select the new SQL Server standalone installation or feature components. I'm going to point to my CD drive, hit OK. Now I'm running Windows 7 at this point. Because I have Windows 7, it's going to prompt me for this. This is saying I had to run Service Pack 1 at least after this. I'll select Run Program. So I'm going to install the core SQL Server 2008, and then I'll install Service Pack 1 after that. Without that, Windows 7 is not supported. Now this might take a few seconds here. At first, let's check. Hit OK. It'll install some core components again. So set up process again. Hit Install. And then after that, the pick list will come. Now I already have a SQL Server installed in my case. Because of that, it's going to give me a slightly different screen than you may have on in your system itself. Okay, so as you can see, I passed everything except for the Windows Firewall is turned on. Because Windows Firewall is turned on, in my case, it means that users can't come into my SQL Server. Okay, so I want to add an additional feature to this instance right here. Hit Next. But as you'll find, now this is because I had a SQL Server already installed, but as you can find, I already have SQL Server installed, so all of my components are already checked. In your case, you'd want to check the Business Intelligence Development Studio feature and the Integration Services feature here. Those two components will install SSIS and the development component. Now, for a production server, you may only need to install the Integration Services feature. And by doing that, it installs the core components that are necessary to run packages. After that, you'll hit the Next button, and it will just simply install. There's no additional checks or anything like that it will ask you to do at that point, for Integration Services, that is. After the installation, you're ready to now go ahead and modify the msdts srvr.ini.xml. To do that, I'll go to my program files under SQL Server, go to the 10.0 directory, DTS, and bin folder. In that folder, you'll notice that there's a msdts srvr.ini.xml. You want to open that in your favorite XML editor. I'll just do that in Notepad in my case. And what you'll want to change is for the SQL Server instance. Now I have a few extra ones here added, but I have one core one for the SQL Server instance, MSDB instance right here, which is from here to here. I want to modify that dot to represent my SQL Server instance name. So for a named instance, change it to the named instance. For a virtual instance, to a virtual instance. For a local instance, dot will work just fine. So it's all based on the requirements that you may have. After doing that, close it, stop and start your Integration Services service, and restart it again, and then that instance will now work. In this lesson, I showed you the core ways of installing Integration Services. As you can see, it's a very simple process to install Integration Services, and it's wrapped right into the SQL Server installation. If you have a named or virtual instance of SQL Server, you'll also have to modify the msdts srvr.ini.xml file. That file will point to which instance of SQL Server holds your packages.